One, two. Amania, you are live. You should see yours.
Oh.
Are you able to see it?
On my channel?
Yeah, go to YouTube. You should be able to see that we are live. Yeah, you are live. You guys are looking great. Thank you. Hey Rodrigue, ça qu'a fait, comment est, nous saluons Rodrigue qui a gagné là depuis.
Bon écho nan ba wa.
Bon écho?
Yes sir.
Okay, hold on, let me adjust that. Yeah, pas dans des échos, assez bon pour fort. Yeah, that's it. Alright, thank you. Good. People, mwen salyo, merci Pascola. Alright, let me check, make sure we're live on Facebook. Alright, everybody, sou fèk monter là, merci Pascola, merci en pile. Listen, merci en pile. Alright, we good. Alright. Merci Pascola. Alright. Bon, mes amis, merci en pile parce que nous là. Bonsoir, hey, Raph, bonsoir. Pourquoi ça m'appelle dit Amaya? Quand tu me dis Amaya, ça? Prononcez-le pour moi. Nope, ou sous mute. Retirez tête dessus. Amania. Ok, perfect. Amania nous saluons. Void nous saluons. Et n'a demandé audience là, est-ce que autant de nous bien? Et m'a make sure que nous pas gon écho parce que Void dit gon écho, mais l'écho assez bon côté parle. So nous voulons make sure tout bagay en forme.
No, everything is good now. You're good.
Okay, perfect. Et Raf pas dans caméra kounya, la veni talè, so ballon petit moment. Et moi profiter saluer tout le monde qui a regardé live ça et mon cher faut que moi dis nous que c'est premier débat présidentiel là. OK, son live qui a bien créole, qui a bien anglais là-dedans parce que we're dealing with United States, we're dealing with Haitian Americans. So, m'dé entendu ça depuis au commencement pour moun qui fait venir pour dire pour qui ça c'est anglais monsieur ça va parler, monsieur dame ça va parler. OK, so bah nous petit temps parce pour nous peut-être tout process yo pour. Intention c'est ou même pour tendre pour tête pour faire analyse pour parce que gagner un sentiment et dans communauté à côté que yo pensé tout haïtien c'est démocrate. Bon, je dis à m'gon chance m'gain des haïtiens qui républicains rouge qui ensemble avec OK qui ou même ou doit connaître qui ça yo penser tout ou doit tendre qui point de vue par yo tout. OK et c'est ça qui fait que nous ouvrir plateforme ça pour tout le monde quel que soit ça ou voulez ce qui parti ou voulez faire it doesn't matter. Là c'est pour là c'est la caillou. All right? So pendant que n'attend Raph monter sur caméra, Amania, nap salyo. How you doing? Please introduce yourself to the audience. Let the audience know who you are. Where are you from? So we can start the party. Ladies first.
Okay, hello everyone. And before we get into that part, Johnny, I want to make sure because I'm trying to find me live on my channel to make sure things are good, but I don't see us live on my channel.
Let me, Amania, let me send it to you to your message.
Yeah, send it to her message, because you should be live as well.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah. So
let me send it to your message, Amania.
Okay.
I just sent it to your message. So if you open it on Facebook, it's live. Let me send you your YouTube one.
Okay.
I don't know why you're not finding it.
Yeah. So
well, I'm on the channel and it doesn't show live.
You should pick the button who say live. Okay. There's a button in your channel who say live.
Right.
Okay. So click on that.
Okay. I also send you the live YouTube on your page.
Here we go. So now you'll be able to open
Okay. Your current live streams.
Yes.
Okay.
So click on that.
Okay. So
and that's where your audience will find you. Okay.
I sent both of them, the Facebook and the YouTube, to your message.
Okay. All right. So I'll work on that. So in the meantime, oh, here we go. All right. Oh, I see. Oh gosh, I see what happened. Okay.
Okay.
I see what happened. It picked up on an old live stream I had program, but
yes, because
anyway, so we're live.
Yes, you are live. Okay. That's the link you can use.
An old live. Oh, there we go. All right, I got it now.
Put it down, because now we have an echo. Mes amis, faut que nous fassions test nous avant, faut que nous faisons par your form. Faut un petit patience pour nous pendant que nous avons.
Okay, I put it down. Volume is off, but I'll just be watching us.
Yes, and that will work. Okay.
Okay, so yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for having me. Thank you that we can come together tonight to watch Joe Biden go down in flames. I'm super excited to see how this old sleepy Joe fall asleep in 5 minutes. Help me, Jesus. Help me get through this. So I'm happy to be here. It's great. Boy, you're looking good in your hat, even though I can't wear my hat, but it's cool. So, but bien content nous la soir to do this thing. So that's it. Let's do it. Let's go.
All right. Thank you. Well, Void, what's up, brother? Pale ak Munyo, salut Munyo, feyo koneki yesuye. Now, listen, Amania, you did not tell them who you are. A political, is it advisor?
Yeah, Amania, you got to tell
us what you do. Okay. I mean, you have to tell us what you do.
I'm going to tell you what I do. My name is AmaniaSaluste. I have been in the political space for quite some time now. I started grassroots work, started volunteering with multiple Republican groups. I am the secretary of the Florida Republican Assembly. I'm the vice president of the Pine Hills Republican Women. And I work campaigns. Currently, I am on the ground working the Tuan Lee campaign, who's running for Congress, District 10 in our area here. I am also a political commentary consultant, and that's the kind of work that I do. So happy to do it. A patriot, always on the ground, rallies, whatever we need to do to push our agenda, which is the conservative movement. And so you can find me, The Conservative Poet, on YouTube. I have my own channel, and I have my own political shop with patriotic merchandise and so on. And that's a little bit about me.
All right. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, Void, we're going to you. Parle avec moun yo di qui est souye, where you from, what do you do? Et puis pou n'ka avancer.
I'm Void Nicholas. Just like Amania, I've been a volunteer for many years to both parties, Democrat and Republican. So I do have, when I was in school, I do have a political science degree. I never know why. Really, I just, because be honest with you, it was an easy course to take, so I could have passed. So I take that. But everything have I learned politically, just like Amania, is a grassroots, understand the political process. I'm also an advisor to pass consultant. I'm a consultant and an advisor to political candidate. I'm a conservative When I was on the Democratic side,
Mhm.
I know I didn't belong there.
Hmm.
Because their views, the way the party run, and I know I was not a Democrat. Yes, I am a Haitian American, very proud of it, and I'm a very conservative, and I love what I do. We have a podcast, myself and Johnny. Johnny love what he does too. Amania connected with, and now, just like yesterday, one of the candidate, Tuan Lee, put me as the political advisor for their
Nice.
campaign.
Congratulations.
So,
Congratulations.
thank you. So I work privately. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm always looking for the best. I love the conservative movement. I love Trump. Without Trump, this country is done. So therefore, I look forward for
Don't
a great
start.
debate. A great debate. Trump is not gonna debate Biden. He's gonna debate Jake Tapper, fake Jake Tapper, and Dana Bash and CNN. And I have a whole lot of audio clip where CNN live for the whole 4 years of the President Trump. One of the top topic I'm looking for in a debate, if I hope CNN come out clean, is the Hunter laptop. When President Biden stand up, say 51 intelligence agency sign up the CIA to say the Hunter laptop was a Russian work. That's fake news. So due to the laptop, Hunter Biden was able
That's
to
a long
convict him.
introduction. That's a long introduction. You got to leave some room
Go
for
ahead.
Ralph.
I'm just fired up, baby. I'm just
I
fired
know.
up.
You have to
I'm
listen
just
to some
fired
Ralph.
up.
So I'm gonna get to you back. I can get back to you. Ralph, merci Bascola. Thank you, brother, for being here. Please introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, and let's go.
All right, Johnny, thank you. My salute to all the people that are meeting with us tonight. So it's a great pleasure for me. But what a shame I'm not a member of any political party or any political movements. But well, we have our own social movements, though. Our own. So, as you know, Johnny, I'm always looking back to Haiti. So I'm
Exactly.
less involved in, anything that has to do with the U.S. politics. But we are going to watch and listen to those two political beasts, on the podium, and see what they have to tell the people. So thank you. My name is they commonly call me Ralph, but my name is Gene. And guys, I'm with you from New Jersey.
All right. All right, guys, listen. Production a fait assurer son production qui difficile en pile. Et faut que moi dire actuellement là et Rumble qui c'est une plateforme conservative went down. C'est là que nous tap râler débat, OK? Ou pas qu'à login sur Rumble qu'on y a là. Seule option gagnée c'est entre CBS ou sinon CNN et même les salles ne doit pas fonctionner bien pour nous mettre sur l'écran pour nous. So nous comprenons que c'est contenu que nous médias ont créé, so y a protégé contenu, hein? So nous comprenons ça. Mais faut que dire tout, hey, doing this type of thing in our community is important. Parce que nous-mêmes qui dans la communauté là, ou même qui vivent là, oui, politique là, là important tout, mais ou même là tout, on a une décision pour prendre. Parce que ou même si vous avez une possibilité pour voter, OK? L'île est temps pour nous-mêmes, pour nous former un bloc, même avec Juifs yo fait, même avec Chinese yo fait, même avec Arabes yo fait, même avec tout le monde, Spanish yo fait spécialement dans Floride là, pour nous-mêmes, pour nous avoir une force politique tout. OK? So, c'est ça qui est important. So, avant de commencer, je salue deux, trois personnes en bas live là. Et pour assez. Et je dis merci parce que là. Rodrigue, merci parce que là. Mes amis, si vous pas saluer nous en bas live là, we want to know you are here. Okay, so please make sure you say hi so I can put you on the screen. But if you are an Amania channel, because we're using RTMP, it will be difficult to bring your comment to the screen. So we apologize for that. Okay, all right. Let me see. We say Rodrigue, people. How you doing, people? Thank you for being here. Bianca Saint Louis, thank you. Merci. Rose in the house. Rose, c'est famille. Rose, comment est? Merci en pile. Et Florentin, Et merci en pile, okay? Merci en pile Pascola. All right, guys, the debate start. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to put it on the screen, okay? So nous tout ka gade ensemble, okay? But I don't know what CNN gonna do. So cross your finger, okay? Hold on a second. All right, so let's go. Where is the screen? We're gonna go over here. Li pa ba nou son, ten nou eske nou ka vole son an sou yo. Nou ba yo tout kredi ya, ok? Mba vle yo fache, men nou ba yo tout kredi ya, men nou konen ke lo ap kreye kontenu.
Determined their positions. Each
Oh,
candidate
God,
will
here's
have
something.
2 minutes to
We
answer
are
the
live.
question and 1 minute each for responses.
So let me
and
add
rebuttals.
a-
An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at
Let me
the
see. I
moderator's
lose
discretion.
Roy.
When it's time for
Okay.
a candidate to speak, his
And I lose
microphone will be
myself.
turned on and his opponent's
So,
microphone will be turned off.
Pendant
Should a
ya bay
candidate interrupt?
rules yo. So basically, gen de bagay ki diferent nan débat aswe ya, ok? So, yo bay yo règlement. Et Void, esko sonje tout règ ak règlement yo?
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you tell the people both in Creole and in English what are the rules?
Okay. When one president is talking, the mic is turned off. Okay, that's one of the rules. They agree on. Well, actually,
Oh God, here
it was
comes
set up.
old Joe. Here comes old
It
Joe.
was set up by Joe Biden and Donald Trump. So they don't speak over each other. That's one of the rules. So, yon règlement yo, le yon président parler, ex-président micro fermé.
All
So,
right.
les l'autre la parler, micro ouvert, yon fermé. Okay, so that's basically it.
That's the rules. All right. Ralph, eske kamera la fermé? Paske mwen power sou ekran, m'assume ke kamera Ralph la fermé, et Ralph micro a tou fermé bon kote pa.
I just want to make sure that is Joe Biden. That's not a double
Okay,
body.
Ralph is
there.
back.
A
All right.
double.
It is
Yeah.
Joe Biden. All right, guys, let me put the sound back.
Well, look at his skin, though. I wanna check out his skin.
All right, I'm putting the sound. I'm putting the sound.
Under your presidency than they were under President Trump.
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president, what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall.
What the
Pandemic
hell?
was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just
Joe
inject
get
a
like
little
grippy?
bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to
my
do is try to
God.
put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out the position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units.
Amman de audience leste yo katandil, sou katandil, ba nou ou ti dwet an lè, s'il vous plaît.
Than corporate greed is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year.
Yo, Trump
The
is not
situation
playing. Look
we
at
make
him.
that
He's
available to everybody,
serious.
to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce-back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think.
Right.
I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, you know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce-back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing. And they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent. all of the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, he got $2 trillion tax.
Somebody got to turn off that thing.
Whose stuff is on? Amania, your stuff is on?
For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America. And what's happening? We're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes.
Okay,
if they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the
Johnny, that was my bad.
Okay, no, you're good, you're good.
Dealing with everything we have to do with.
Johnny, can you hear me?
Look.
Yeah. What's going on?
We finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What the hell?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states, let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which, frankly, they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted it brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat-run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
You're lying. That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only change
panel
all that,
make sure que nous
made
prenons
sure
notes
that
parce que
we
nous
are
pas
in a
m'a
situation
prendre
where
notes beaucoup de pas
circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. Significantly, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an al-Qaeda person coming in his administration, killed three American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed three people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the two greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these three incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and they just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, or we have to get them out fast, because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all, and he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved, choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in. And it's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it, period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right. Thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its third year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed
Trump should
and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO.
Hold on.
Are Putin's terms
stay on that
acceptable to you?
topic.
Hold on.
Joe Biden on the last debate.
Let's listen. Let's listen.
Jake Tapper and CNN Live. Trump should stay on that topic.
They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost. But he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine, never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything, no money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I never said that.
For 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the territory in Ukraine?
No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, and by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward, which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one, they're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so there are two different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for what using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have, our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but are we ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see. But before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have. But we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time? And I said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor in writing turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it, too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in that dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. But he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He didn't do a damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now, out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots? Come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. my retribution is going to be a success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? Do you ever hear any president say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him, they said, what do you think of those people? The ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop them, and the ones who said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say, Nazis coming out of fields, carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas, were fine people? This is a guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on this. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency is, without question, the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden?
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
OK, guys, pendant y a pris un break là, so bien vite, nous break là c'est seulement 30 minutes. Nous parlons ensemble avant Raph. Et you guys can use whatever language you want to use. Vous voulez utiliser créole, vous voulez utiliser anglais. Qui impression dans premier segment dans débat ça là, Raph? Ou sous mute Raph, m'badando.
Bonsoir tout le monde, est-ce qu'il entendez?
Ya, nous t'entendons qu'on y a.
Bon, première impression, alors, bon, qui, mais, plus attirer l'attention dans la première séquence, c'est question avortement. Et bon, moi, comme on connaît, moi, pas vraiment chita sur les affaires ici, mais parce que question avortement, il a parlé là, parce que si tout ça Trump dit là, c'est vérité, parce que c'est vraiment un crime organisé et contre le peuple américain même. Parce que pour moi-même, ça, sont affaires. Mais en gros, moi, je pense que jusqu'à présent, Donald Trump a vraiment bien passé jusqu'à présent. Et je pense que Joe, si n'a une expérience, ça n'a vu as a failed state, là, côté n'a vu. In terms of inflation, in terms of immigration, et la trième, moi, je pense que Donald Trump, bien que il y ait des gens qui perdent parce que M. trop rigide sur la l'immigration, mais a country is a country. Okay? A border of a country is a border of a country. So, il y a un Haïtien qui a écouté nous là, qui a suivi, qui a peut-être dit, oh, monsieur a vivre dans le pays, monsieur pas d'appeler Haïtien, monsieur pas d'appeler l'autre nation, c'est pas ça lié. Et on pays est ton pays. Pas besoin de comment on passe pour venir, comment on dépasse pour venir. Mais pensez que, pour moi-même, et surtout dans l'affaire immigration illégale, parce que Donald Trump is right so far. Et sauf que M. Bayon faille dans 6 janvier 2020, M. Bayon faille. Donc, regardez, M. He was trying to avoid the question. But he's a smart guy. Vous avez dit tout ça, he's a smart guy. Et M. retourné en charge et je pense que jusqu'à présent, et son débat a bien déroulé. Donc, on conseille de critique, parce que je pense que il y a visible tout le monde, donc pas vraiment entrer là.
Exactement. Merci un peu, Raph. Amania, même question. Qui impression dans le premier segment de débat ça? Bah nous bon 30 secondes.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to say it. I think Trump was very strong there. He answered the questions correctly. And he laid down the foundation and he laid down the truth. I think Biden was very weak and I could barely understand much of what he was saying. I had to really struggle to just comprehend what it is that he was trying to say. He was just all over the place. And I mean, the man just looks ill. And I think it's a disservice to this country that we are even doing this tonight with this man. Like somebody needs to just put him down. Like we're really doing this. It's a disgrace. And that's how I feel about it. Trump won that round and that's all I got.
Thank you so much. Void, same questions. Qui impression dans premier segment débat?
Bon, impression, moi son abuse que démocrate fait Joe Biden. Et Van Jones te dit un bagage, il dit que de bas ça, la vie démocrate dépend sous lui. Et si monsieur pas performé well,
30 seconds, they're almost back. Go
eh
ahead.
ben, monsieur met Marie Paquet li. Et gon bagage que te commencé à avancer l'économie, hein. Et Ralph dit un bagage qui est très important, comme nous-mêmes ça haïtiens que nous y est. Et Johnny me toujours parler de ça avec vous. Et policy démocrate sur l'abortion.
10 seconds.
Johnny, son crime que lié vrai parce que si on monde font monde jusqu'à 8 mois, 9 mois, et puis pour tout tuer, ça son policy. Est-ce que je dis ouais, one party politique à protéger humain et puis one party besoin de détruire. Ralph, merci pour l'observation ça parce que nous-mêmes nous c'est haïtiens et regardez record d'abortion, c'est dans plus black communauté que lié. So son génocide que lié.
Ralph, we are back. We're coming back. I promise. I'm coming back. They are back. They are back.
The impact on the choice that black families have to make relative to child care is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for child care costs. We got to make sure, because when you provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family first-time home buyer should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those black families and those black individuals who had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having to do with volunteerism, if they paid their bills for 10 years on their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window.
Pipeline.
He caused inflation.
Pipeline.
As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment. He decimated the economy, absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs. We provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals who are in all communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance. We have covered, the ACA has increased. I made sure that they're $8,000 per person in a family to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again, and they're going to try again if they win. You find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing anything, we put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity and making sure people have a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name, and he called it to them for 10, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job, great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
You've 38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just don't have the money. But now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water, he hadn't done a damn thing for the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined it because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change, and he didn't do a damn thing about it. He wants to undo all that I've done.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones who was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to? The United States can't get its pollution under control. One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people who learn how to deal with climate, just like the Peace Corps. And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
so every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I've been proposing that everybody, the millionaires pay 1%. 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent. But the biggest thing I'll do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanted to cut Social Security and Medicare both times. And if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that he, I believe, supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is we're in a situation where we talk about education for black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants by another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 toward their tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He could look you in the face. About so many other things, too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it, number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world, the reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put them there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and he reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We are the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody, number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care, he did virtually nothing to child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you, and they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about, he's increased the tariff, he will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming into the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that are very important. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he's somehow helped the middle class. Middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You had the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border. It started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter, I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I take office, I said by literally as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago, but Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. The whole idea of computer chips, we used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and to bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies and those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced him. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they've never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8. Never. But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to turn.
Let's not act like children.
To a specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all, and required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked.
President Trump, the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
Bon, pendant qu'on prend break là, voice c'est sur nous te quitter et m'a plutôt fini premier aspect et puis après ça on a move sur Amania et puis sur Ralph. 20 secondes seulement voix, 20 secondes s'il vous plaît. Retirez sur mute voix. Retirez sur mute.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Bon, gon bagay que m'observe, Trump dit plusieurs fois que political persecution avec indictment nan, Joe Biden pas jamais aucune réponse oui ou non que le pas fait ça. Merci Ralph. OK, c'est ça me son bagay que m'observe. Comme monter dans le point final là, c'est que oui, démocrates yo persécuté monsieur vous yo connaît yo fait parce que président Biden pas jamais réponse sur ça. Et on seul bagay me disappointed avec président Trump qu'il va jamais répondre aux questions, c'est sous point child care là, OK?
Child care avec opioid crisis.
Yeah. Well, opioid crisis là, il retourne back sur immigration.
OK. All right. Merci un peu. Amania? The second aspect, deuxième aspect et qu'on y a là, une deuxième phase là, et qui sont pensés et qui opinion avant que nous continuions.
Okay. I think President Trump is doing well, and he made some really good points. And I think he had a short answer for that opioid question, where his main thing should have been, you know what, in order for us to stop the opiates, stop the drugs from coming in, we close the border, and that'll handle the deaths that we're seeing in our young people and all of these people that's dying from these drugs. He should have just said it, yeah, close the border, we fixed that drug problem. And so I wish he'd have gone there. But I think he's doing very well. And again, Biden appears to be so weak. And again, he's 86. You would think he was like 106. It's just so terrible.
He's not 86 yet.
How old is he then?
By the end of his if he win the election, by the end he'll be 86.
That's even worse then.
Yeah.
That's even worse if he's 82. If he's not, that's even worse. For you to be looking like and acting like, and I can barely understand anything that he's saying. Like it's struggling to understand. But any event, that's my soapbox, guys.
All right, Ralph, et encore, deuxième mi-temps, nous mettrons ça deuxième, ou second quarter, so pensez qu'il y a opinion.
Yeah, ma parole, c'est pour me dire que quand on va regarder un match football, c'est pas parce que même si je vais à ce numéro 10 lié, je vais fatiguer. C'est pas parce que c'est numéro 10, c'est buteur, il n'est pas capable de camber, ou de camber le souterrain. Moi, je me demande qui s'acte dans la tête démocrate, qui fait rapoussible avec Trump. Je ne voulais pas faire considération sur l'aspect ça, même parce que il fait ressortir dans le débat, donc nous pas qu'à passer sous lui. Et je pense que Biden a fait un paquet de fly passer à côté. Par exemple, le Biden dit, moi noté, we are doing better than any country in the world economically. This is a lie. I mean, this is a lie. It's an obvious lie. You can tell everybody this, and not everybody's going to swallow it. I mean, we are victims of the inflation. Everybody's in our class is a victim of this going on. I mean, higher. That's inflation going higher and higher. Border corruption. There's so much border corruption, and this is not true what he was saying about it. And taxes.
Yeah. Sorry, Naptunesu, excuse me. You're back. Yeah, we have
a lot to say tonight.
Okay.
We have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes, and will not. And if I'm reelected, that will be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit, number one. He's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts.
All right. Well, nous pas besoin Anderson Cooper. Moi gagné Raf ensemble avec, moi gagné Void ensemble avec, moi gagné Amania ensemble avec. So ça c'est nous-mêmes qui Anderson Cooper dans la communauté pas nous parce que ça n'a fait là, c'est nous-mêmes seulement qui a fait, c'est nous-mêmes seulement qui a fait. Faut que nous baille tête nous bravo peut-être ça. OK, n'a tourner sur Raf parce que c'est là nous t'ai fini là que yo t'ai tourné back sur débat. Raf nous dans deuxième mi-temps, m'gen des questions spécifiques pour nous-mêmes. M'a profiter tout dit audience qui a regardé nous là, si ou même vous voulez participer dans débat ça, si ou même ou gon question, OK, ou mettre cliquer sur link Zoom nan, wap ka monter et puis ou même wap n'a bon chance pour poser question nan. Si on ti gens timide ko pa vle dans caméra, moi comprendre ça, mais dès pour venir sur Zoom nan, n'a besoin dans caméra pour nous mettre sur écran ou même pour voice opinion pas parce que moi getan connait gen des bagages ko pas ou pas l'accepter avec ça nous-mêmes nous pral dire là et puis me content connait tout gen des bagages ko pas d'accord avec Trump, gen des bagages ou pas d'accord avec Biden. C'est une opportunité pour nous-mêmes dans communauté pas noire pour nous brasser l'idée pour nous connaître you know what's going on. Okay, so Ralph and Ali.
Well, merci Johnny, mais on est là et parce que petit temps nous pour nous parler.
Oui, oui.
Well, si on est capable de considérer le tout, on est capable de dire c'est une conclusion hâtive, nous avons dit que son débat que Donald Trump gagne pour plusieurs raisons. Première raison, c'est que je pense que si les démocrates ont réellement voulu voyer Biden dans l'élection face à Trump, je pense que ils ont gagné une réserve, ils ont réservé sous banc. Parce que Biden que nous avons là, 4 ans encore, extrêmement, ou bien extrêmement difficile. Et pour monsieur, qu'un bon 4 ans encore, si ce n'est pas deuxième alternative là où qui c'est préparer un vice-président pour venir en pouvoir. Que ce soit pour moi-même, sur le plan physique, par exemple, nous arrivons dans la question âge là, par exemple. Moi, je pense que sur l'âge là, je pense que Trump gagnait à 100% sur la question de l'âge là, par exemple. Parce qu'il faut nous regarder tout ça. Est-ce que les États-Unis paraît pour conduire un thème présidentiel avec un président qui va camper dans la moitié du deuxième thème là, ou bien dans un quart deuxième thème là, il n'y a pas qu'à continuer pour que est obligé de venir avec le vice-président et la Constitution dit à défaut du vice-président, c'est qui est? C'est
le vice-président, c'est vice-président pas capable et be the Speaker of the House.
Le Speaker of the House. So, à défaut de lui. Donc, mais nous font retourner sur le premier round, premier mi-temps. Premier mi-temps, si nous considérons l'aspect inflation. Pour moi-même, Biden l'a utilisé une stratégie cover-up strategy. C'est ça, cover-up strategy. Comme si pour montrer que, well, il crée job, inflation, pas de jamais pas comme ça. Pour moi-même, son mensonge trop cru. Donc, je vais camper là pour le moment, pour inflation. Et après ça, parce que tellement de parce que nous pas de temps pour vite tout dans le premier temps, so nous allons retourner. Mais pas oublier que pour moi-même, moi j'ai commencé avec l'histoire inflation. Et moi-même, je prends un exemple. Sous président Biden, moi je rentré dans le State Columbia, quitté New York, rentré dans le State Columbia en 2019. Avec $70 US, moi-même avec, eh bien, madame, moi, seule table de nos cas, nous devons faire provision pour 2 semaines avec $70. Maintenant, avec l'arrivée de Biden en 2020, désormais, $250 pas capable de nourrir 3 personnes dans la famille. C'est vraiment, pour moi-même, dans la réalité, parce que sur ce point-là, Biden a tenté de tromper tout.
Merci un peu, Raph. Bon, je vais tout profiter pour une question. Et pendant qu'on a parlé de l'inflation, je vais tout prendre une question Pipo. Côté que Pipo pose une question, peut-être, et nous allons aller tout droit sur Void. Côté Pipo dit, the inflation we are coping with right now, isn't it the result from the disaster caused by Trump government before? On Void? Ou sur mute?
Okay, well, my stuff could go on to mute. I guess I got a phone call.
Yeah.
I'm going to start from the very top with the economy, because that's where it started at. Biden admit the inflation, but before I go on, I agree with Rolf in one thing. Biden doesn't have the stamina, doesn't have the energy. And I think the Democrat did a very devastating, any Democrats out there going to vote. What are we going to vote for? Trump lay out the case. I would give him an 80%. There's 2 main points. He was in pivot. I guess he had some reserve. But overall, he did extremely well. Biden, I would give him a 40% because of his age. He's unable to clarify the point that he's making to the economy. Where we started at, he admit the inflation. He kept Trump tax cut for the whole 4 years. And that's a fact. If the Democrat didn't keep the tax cut, the economy would have been worse. So when he said he created a job, Trump responded, I cut regulation. And that's how you were able to gain 15 million jobs. But we have to remember something. Under the Democrat administration, there is no manufacturing job created. Some of the job that Biden stated that he created, it was job that was closing. It was government job. So, and Biden never say anything. Well, I didn't take off. We got 5 months left for the election. Right now, it's still the Trump tax cut that's going on. So when you cut taxes for the top, especially for the on corporate taxes, Trump mentioned it, from 30% to 20%. If Jonathan, if any of us on the panel want to open a company, would you want to pay the government 30% compared to 20%? No, it won't be feasible. So that's another thing the Democrat kept. They kept the corporate taxes. So that kind of helped them keep them jobs. So that's a very good point that Trump was able to make on the economy. I feel like he wasn't strong enough on it, but he made some very good point. If I'm here to criticize Biden, I'm not going to criticize Biden. That's not our job. My mother's 86 years old. You could see it on his, that's his age. Who would say 4 years from now, Trump won't be on that stage? Yes, strong is more stronger. You could see he exercises, he golf, and he's very alert, and he has some great comeback. Biden spent 2 weeks prepping for this debate with 16 people. All of them should have been fired. All of them should be fired. I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you, Void.
All of them should be fired.
Thank you, Void. We got Marlon. Marlon is trying to get in. Marlon, let me know.
So he was not able to clarify where Trump made some error on the child care. He didn't have a good response at all. Did not. On the fentanyl, he did not have a good response at all. But he was able to pivot everything back to immigration. Because the immigration is what put us in this crisis. So he made a very good point. Ralph, he's in New York. New York got hit the hardest. And when you look at the migration crime, where Trump was able to pivot, say, listen, hospitals, prison is being empty. That's a fact. Maduro talk about it. Yes, empty the prison. And all these people come to the border, Honduras, and also some country in Africa. And we have the FBI testify over 10,000 people is on a watch terror list. That was by Christopher Wray. So Trump was able to make some good point.
All right, Void.
The point of the economy.
Let me swing to Amania. Let's give Amania a chance to respond. Because I don't think you, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think you respond people's question. Maybe Amania will be able to.
No, what was people's question? Can you repeat that for me real quick?
People's question was, the inflation we are coping with now, isn't it resulted from the disasters caused by Trump government before? So
I answer that. I answer that. If people get his head straight, like I said, I'm not doing anything. I'm not criticizing Biden, but two things that people got to understand: the Democrat keep the Trump tax cut,
but it's law,
okay?
Right? If it's
hold on, let me explain that to people. Let me explain that to people. You seem like you don't understand economics. When you have more money in a company, you hire more, you invest more, and that's what the Trump tax cut was. And the Democrat keep it until today.
They expire.
And then hold on a second. When you talk about reduction and restriction, Joe Biden keep that too. And then the 20% from 30 to 20%, the Democrat keep it. That's what create jobs. So if people don't understand basic economic, well, I guess you want to understand that. So those three things that Trump created, the Democrat keep it until today. Okay?
All right, let's go to Amania. Amania, same questions. The inflation we are coping with right now isn't it resulted from the disasters caused by Trump's government before?
No, I don't believe that it's because of Trump's policies or anything like that. I would just have to go back to when Joe Biden got into office, day one. He went in and the pipeline that he went in and he closed first day. So part of that is now that we have to now purchase our gas and oil and things like that from other countries. And all of that caused the economy to be where it is. So if we're trying to get oil and gas from other countries, all of that is being taxed on the American people. And that's why it's so expensive for things. So it's not because Trump did that. Biden did that day one when he got in, and he cut those resources. And now we've got to go and beg Putin for oil, and we've got to go and beg the Saudis for oil when we can drill right here in America, and that will help the economy. So that's my answer on that.
Now, one thing Ralph, maybe Ralph can answer that part. One thing you guys don't mention, and the Trump tax cut, the people who benefit most are the top 1%. And I understand you guys are putting it in a way that they don't want creating jobs. But if the people on the bottom is not receiving anything as well, they're going to be in a bad position. And yes, those tax cuts were law. He could have proposed new laws. He could have tried to change it. However, he did not. I understand that part. But when we're talking about the inflation, we're talking about the deficit. Was that money, those trillions of dollars that Trump used for that tax cut, is that money play a role in putting us also in a deeper deficit and putting us also in a different situation where right now we have to deal with it? Ralph?
Well, I'm not good at economy, but if we look at the facts, comme te ka di ça, faut considérer par exemple la guerre, les différentes guerres par exemple, qui gagnent là. Parce que guerre, yo demandé en pile dépenses, yo demandé, si me déclarer investissement dans ça, yo demandé en pile corps. Si nous considérons là, m'a fait énumérer par exemple, avec arrivée de Biden au pouvoir, ou bien pendant Biden au pouvoir, à la fin de mandat Biden même, nous trouvons nous dans PPT 3 guerres. Par exemple, nous avons la guerre, la Russie, Ukraine, et ça qui vient en dernier là, c'est Israël versus Palestine. OK? Et puis, nous gagnons Israël en même temps, Iran. Même si c'est pas qu'on a le même niveau avec Ukraine, mais qu'on guerre là entre Israël et l'Iran. Donc, tout ça, c'est des bagages qui sont capables et obligés que nous a vider l'argent. Par exemple, dans la guerre ukrainienne, si nous regardons les chiffres, c'est un bagage extraordinaire. OK? Donc, alors, je vais passer à la question pour toi. Je pense que, en tant que Biden, en tant que président, ou bien n'importe quel président d'ailleurs, au lieu d'achita à blâmer un président qui était là avant 4 ans, il y a 4 ans, il parle encore. Parce que là, parce que, écoutez bien, là, tu es dans le débat qui sont dit public, où tu dis, I can do better, and I will do better. You promised to do better, right? To do better. Well, what took you so long? It took you 4 years. You couldn't fix a thing. You couldn't fix one thing. You had 4 years. And after those 4 years, you come forward in front of the same people and start complaining about that was his fault 4 years ago. I mean, 8 years ago. That was his fault. He got into office in 2016. I mean, he got elected in 2016. Now we're in 2024. I mean, instead of, that somewhere in the debate, he called Biden a complainer. And I think somewhere he was right. At some point, he was right calling him a complainer. I mean, don't come here after 4 years. I mean, the guy has been out of power. Don't come before me after 4 years and tell me if I didn't do this, if this didn't happen, if this wasn't fixed, it was because of the results of his government. So, or of his administration. I mean, that's the way I can put it.
Okay, thank you. Marlon, nous ajoutons sur écran Marlon. If you can, come out on the camera and remove your mic. And because I think the next question, I can bring the next question to you. I know you were watching the debate. So, Marlon, so souvent ensemble avec nous, retirer et oui,
I am, but I
caméra.
am in the back of a Uber heading
Uber.
home
Okay,
from
all right, no
Miami.
problem. Since you're in the back of an Uber, so I'm gonna go to this question. Immigration. Nous connaissons que immigration
But
important.
can we stick in the economy for a minute?
Okay, when I get to you, you get a chance to hit a portion of the
Okay,
economy.
well, all
Yeah.
right. So we don't. So we're trying to stay on the topic in the economy. Then you could have moved up. But
And also, I'm sorry. And also, if you allow me 1 second, guys.
Mhm.
I mean, we have taken notes
Yes.
from the debate, so we cannot focus on the people and the public's questions. We have to also know.
Yeah, Johnny. So Marlon could, because what's his name, say something really important, and we got to pivot for Democrats.
Okay, but
what they,
this is why does
hold on, guys. The
yeah,
next point. The
everybody
reason,
knows immigration is my point.
hold
And
on.
the economy is not the only thing that runs a country. Yes, it's a major part of a country, but that's not the only thing that runs, and that's not the only issue
Hold on.
that
The
a
reason
president has to
it's
handle.
not. No, hold on.
So,
The reason is because the immigration. I took some notes and I'm going in order in those notes, and it just happened. Marlon coming on the immigration portion. I don't want to keep you guys here all
finish
night.
one and we take up the other.
I don't want to keep you guys all night. So, Void, if you have something to add in the economy, go ahead and add it for us.
Okay,
And
since
then
Marlon mentioned
I
why-
jump into immigration. Go ahead.
Okay, since Marlon mentioned why immigration first, a country run an economy, my man. It does not run an immigration. Immigration contribute to the economy, okay, but a country run, you have to look at your pocket, and that's the severity that the American people are suffering right now. But let me ask any Democrat this question, and Joe Biden did not even mention anything about it or talk about what he has done the last 4 years. He passed the Inflation Reduction Act. He passed the Build Back Better, that's $555 billion, and also the American Rescue Plan, which was $1.9 trillion. It's three. The Inflation Reduction Act, Build Back, $555 billion. He did mention that families getting an extra $300 to $250 per month. But what happened to the American Rescue Plan Act? Where all that money goes? Well, he did not talk anything about this. And Trump was very strong to say, my three economic that keep this country going is the tax cut that Johnny don't understand, that when company have more money, because we want to play that game that it goes to the top 1%. That's not true. Okay? So when you build a company that you have more money to invest and more money to hire. That's what a tax cut is. So the Democrat Congress controlled Congress on his first term. So they're not going to put that in the campaign? That what happened to the Inflation Reduction Act? What happened to the Build Better Act? What happened to the American Rescue Plan? So people, when we're complaining that food is 25% higher, okay? And that's what people are feeling. So this man stand up for 90 minutes, did not talk anything about his achievement. Let's go on.
Okay. Since you mentioned, I got to answer really quick. Now, first of all, the same way you say he did not talk about his achievement, his opponent did not talk about it
because it was not an achievement.
Okay.
Democrat know that was a failure.
Listen, let me answer. So now, when you're talking about the Build Back Better, there is governor Republican
$555 billion.
If both of us are talking, we're not helping. I let you talk. Let me answer. So the governor, some Republican governor, is still using some of that money to help their state when we're talking about with the Build Back Better. Okay, so that's the reality of it. So yes, he did not mention it. I think he should have bragged about it. He did not, and Trump also at the same time did not mention it because he did not think it was something that he needed to venture at. So the reality is, I don't want this to be a debate between Trump and Biden. Who do I give my people to vote for? And this, I want to talk about the facts. I want to talk about the facts. I want to talk about the facts, and I want to talk about the substance. I want to talk about what the candidates talk about. Okay. At the end of the day, I don't mind who the community support, but I want them to see the reality. And this is why I like about the point Ralph make earlier. Côté Ralph dit nous, à l'âge monsieur, même là qu'il n'y a pas de problème avec l'âge là, mais l'on a guidé un pays, gon koto rivé, et il faut qu'on pose tête aux questions, qui qualité stress ou pas le gain. Mais c'est même genre tout pour Trump. Trump a 80 combien? 82 ans là sur le pouvoir. So à 82 ans, il prend dans situation bas dernier, non 1 an 2 ans, OK? Trump prend dans même situation ça tout, which mean the people the ones losing is America. Parce que nous m'attendons Raf.
Yeah, Johnny, just one half of a second.
Go ahead.
I mean, ou pas qu'à stipuler que dans 2 ans, il prend la même position. Pour comparer, si nous regardons, si nous comparé niveau santé à regarder Trump, dans gens la débité, gens activité, monsieur, c'est pas même bagaille. Nous pas qu'à juste assumer que next 2 years, Donald Trump is going to be in Biden's shoes. We cannot just estimate it like to me. No, that's not fair.
I understand it's not fair. I'm just saying it's a possibility. If we
that's not true. That's not true.
That's not. It's always a possibility. What do you mean?
Listen, Johnny. In 2 years, it could be 100 years old and still have,
it could be. Yes, I agree.
And some years old, and they're still walking by themselves, talking clearly.
I agree. But what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, America could do better. We're telling the world this is the best we got.
And that's what I was gonna mention. It's like there's no more young people doing politics in this country.
Yeah.
There's no younger people doing politics, interested in doing politics in this country. I was gonna mention this. This is a good point.
So let me take the second point. I'm gonna go SSTV, s'il vous plaît. Andy, ouvre caméra pour nous. Andy, ouvre caméra pour nous. OK? Et Martin, il un câble, il pas capable.
Can we see me?
Yeah, I see you.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay,
All right, guys.
Okay, I'll take you soon. Okay, now the second point, guys, c'est immigration. Nous connaissons immigration important pour communauté pas nous. Que nous voulons, qu'on pas voulons, quelqu'un soit côté campé, que c'est sous parti démocrate, que c'est sous parti républicain, immigration important pour moun dans communauté nous. Spécialement qu'on y a là, nous avons des milliers de monde qui entrent dans Biden. Qui pas connaît qui ça pral arriver parce que c'est 2 ans seulement que programme Biden dans bayo. So yo pas connaît qui ça pral arriver dans 2 ans non après l'autre élection qui président qui monter. Yo pas connait qui espoir pour yo même pour yo gagner. Actuellement si nous regardons vidéo qui met dehors récemment, nous connaît même TPS là que haïtien Apton qui a expiré en juillet ou sinon autre là, jusqu'à présent qui peut qu'on renouveler, jusqu'à présent gain doute sur lui. So, ça veut dire que portion ça important pour communauté pas noire. So, je vais aller ensemble avec Marlon. What do you think is the best approach based what the two candidates spoke about? Nous comprenons qui ça Trump parlait à. Trump lui-même dit OK, border ça qui ouvre c'est un threat lié pour les États-Unis, OK? Et Biden pas si tellement vraiment vrai répondre question immigration pour moi-même senti que il passé sur côté il virer en rond parce que il pas répondre question. So Marlon, if you can hear me, that's you. Go ahead and answer this part. Marlon?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Marlon here, but what I want to say is that first and foremost, I think we have an education problem when it comes to certain topics in America, and I think the right, the Republicans, they have a field day. First of all, they have more money, have more resources than the left, so they have a field day all the time just spreading false information, false narratives that are not true, that immigrants are committing crimes, immigrants are doing this, immigrants are doing that. And it's, first, it's a shame to see other immigrants just supporting the people that are putting out those narratives. And then they'll tell you, well, I came here the right way. I did things the right way. Well, when you came here, if the American people were running with those same narratives that they're running with now, you wouldn't even make it to where you are now, right? So I want you to remember that one. And second of all, this election is extremely crucial for the people listening. It is extremely crucial because there's no other topics that's hitting as hard right now. And all of the debates and all of the touring that the presidents are doing in immigration. And the right is taking a field day saying that, yes, the border's open, we're letting all of these people in, we're doing this, we're doing that. And that's not true. If you look at it, the American people, this is just white supremacy, just, being scared. This is people just Americans, white supremacy actually, thinking that, we're coming here to
I don't
take
know
their
if it's just
jobs.
me, but I
Immigrants are
cannot
coming.
hear you, Marlon.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear Marlon.
We all could hear you. You must,
good. You're good.
I don't know what.
And they try to put a headphone or something, but we can hear Marlon.
So to say, for me, I would never, first of all, I would never support anything that Trump says. And before we even had this debate, we should have waited for the fact checks, because
I do have the fact
know
checks.
there was a lot.
I do have the fact checks. I'm gonna go over that next.
Because there was a lot of BS thrown out by Trump. And I'm not going to make excuses when it comes to immigration, and I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, out of these two presidents, personally, I'm very much independent. I do not stick to a party, but I feel like when it comes to immigration, clearly Joe Biden is the winner. And a lot of these so-claimed called Republican Haitians, they definitely applied in the humanitarian parole program to get their family here, right? So, and who should they thank for that? Did Trump open up the country for your family to come in? I don't think so. What did he call Haiti? A shithole country, right? And then that same man who was just, and this is what I tell people. No, this is before let me finish this. Those same people, and I always say this, those same people that are saying, yes, Trump is the best person to run this country. And I want you to know this, right? And I want you to keep this because this is public. I don't want you to ever hear you talk about, as a Haitian, how all these corrupted politicians are running your country, because you are sitting here in America voting and supporting a corrupted politician, both by the law. Unless you do not believe in the law, these same judges that are passing these outrageous laws all over the country, you don't believe that they're doing their jobs, because right here, these same people that you support, they said that your boy, Donald Trump, is guilty. 33 counts. And then you all can say, oh, but he could still be president while he's guilty. And then the audacity for him to show up as if we don't know that you're guilty of all these things and of all these charges. And then for you to show up and try to make the other party look bad. And then I heard someone say earlier, yeah, Biden is a complainer. No, in order for there to be effective changes within an administration or within a party, within a group, whatever it is, when it comes at the government level, it needs to be applied for 10 or more years. We keep switching from Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrats. We had Obama for 8 years. Right when Trump came on, he took everything. He tried his best to ruin it. Of course, you're not going to see the changes because it takes time. At the federal level, it takes time for you to actually see the changes that are being implemented, right? So if you don't know that and you keep saying yes, 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 it is pointless for me to sit here and argue with you. And if you said, yes, the economy run the country, but there are so many other issues that are happening right now that I don't think the economy. A lot of you people that are saying the economy is the issue need to be voting at the local level, not this. But when it comes to immigration, let me go back to what I said. When it comes to immigration,
30 seconds,
Biden is forever a
Marlon,
winner.
30 seconds.
You know me, Johnny. It's not fair. What's going on here is not fair. I mean, you can't. I will. I mean, honestly, I will tolerate it.
I'm gonna put the clock. I'm gonna put the clock. I think the only way to keep it fair is for me to put the clock. So Marlon,
you gotta keep it fair.
Yeah, Marlon, go ahead.
You gotta keep it fair, man, because you let him.
Marlon,
you let him say things that
hold on.
Beyond out of control.
All right, Marlon, you have 20 seconds, and I'm gonna put the clock, and I'm gonna give everybody else a chance to answer. Go ahead, Marlon. Marlon, can you hear me?
There is nothing that is beyond out of control. Studies have proven this. You Republicans go ahead and run with wild numbers that are not true. Those researchers that you're claiming, I want you to prove them. I want you to prove them in actual websites that have been approved for folks to be able to do research. Me, when I bring you information, they're from Pew Research, right? Official websites that the government use, that schools, universities use. Not just random
let me give you a website
that
go to
folks
the
can
Heritage
change.
Foundation right now.
They can change all the time.
All right, Marlon, time's up. Let me give I think Void, you answer already. Yeah. Ralph probably want to do it with Brodo.
I had a point to make before Void, if he allows me to.
So I'm gonna let Ralph do the vibrato. After that, we're gonna go to Andy, and after that, I'm gonna go to Amania, and then I'll come back to you, Ralph. I'll come back to you, Void. Ralph, go ahead.
Right. When it comes to narratives, we gotta be fair and really good analysts to clarify things. For instance, if you come forward and say, "Oh, Trump said called Haiti shithole country," which they never have proven so far. No one can prove it by voice, by audio, by text, nothing. But now, if Trump, I'm not taking one side. I don't do politics in America. I listen, I watch, but I don't do politics. I don't get involved at all. But if we go back into in the 90s, what did Biden say about the whole Haiti? What did he say about the whole Haiti?
It can sink in the ocean. He won't make a difference.
You remember that?
Yeah.
When he was answering the question, I think that Biden back then he was a senator. When they asked him a question about the partiality of the U.S. As far as Bosnia was concerned, but in Haiti, you remember that, right? Mm-hmm. He said, we don't give a hell if Haiti sinks into the ocean of the Caribbean or it goes, Haiti rises 300 feet. Mm-hmm. Come on, I don't want anyone to come here and tell me Biden is good, Trump is bad. Trump is good, Biden is bad. This is not the point. We're talking about around the debate. What both candidates say. So yes, fact check. We need to check the facts. Okay, let's go and check the facts. But when it comes to immigration, I can't believe how people think that it's heaven grace that Biden has opened the country for my people to come in. He has saved the lives of my people. Why some of my people are going back to Chile? Why some of my people are going back to Brazil? Why some of my people are even going back to Haiti? This is not paradise. This country is not paradise. I don't care if it's ruled by a Democratic administration, Republican administration. I don't care what party is ruling. This country now is not any paradise. It's not heaven. It's not any heaven. So if let's go back to what everybody. We have the archive. What do you say? We have the proof of Biden. Cursing Haiti in the 90s. Now they said Trump said in 2018. I think they said he said, but who proved it? What's the proof? Now, come on, people. Right. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Ralph. Okay, Andy, merci pour patience là. Et sous qu'attendez Andy, we're still in the immigration questions. So go ahead, Andy.
First of all, I would like to say thank you for inviting me to come to the panel, and I would like to give a good shout out to everybody, a great shout out to everybody on the show. I might not know. I know Amania is here. I know Marlon. I know Void. My brother, I always forgot your name. Please forgive me a million times. Johnny and then Ralph. thank you so much for allowing me to be on the panel with you tonight. So I don't know how many of you was watching the debate tonight, but let me tell you guys, it was a great debate. Great debate. I love it and I love it and I love it again. So Trump was on top of his game. He was stronger than ever before. This is the very first time in my life I see Trump on a debate was that strong, and he was on top of his. He was on top, and Joe Biden. I'm looking at him as our president. That I truly have a lot of respect for him, and I love him with all my heart. But when I'm looking at politics, and I'm looking for what is best for my country as an American, it's a very hard choice that we as an American, people that's going to vote, is a very, very, very hard choice we're going to have to make. Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. We can see Joe Biden help. We can see that he was mumbling in every single answer. And you see Donald Trump, he's strong, and he was not reading teleprompter. He was not shy to talk, and he was straight to the point. Even though at many times they tried to cut him, but he fight right back to give the people the answer, to answer the question, to make sure the people understand what he's fighting for. When we look at the immigration, yes, Joe Biden have done a lot for immigration. However, guys, when we're talking about America, when we're talking about voting for change in America, it's America first. So we cannot help others if we can help ourselves. So we are an economic right now that is flattening to its face. I have to say it because as a business person and person that work in hospitality, that work in entertainment, I know when our economy is down, and this is the moment right now. Our economic is down, and Joe Biden
time's up, Andy. Andy, you got to
can you
do
give
the
me
conclusion.
just 1 minute? Just one more minute, please.
I'll give you 20
Marlon.
seconds. 20 seconds.
Please. So when we're looking at all those people who come from Haiti and Latino country, what are they doing right now? They're standing in front of Lowe's, in front of Home Depot, looking for jobs. They can find jobs, and a lot of people without job, and some of them even decided to go back to their country because it's not the paradise they were waiting for. They was dreaming about. So either way, what Joe Biden done for this for the immigration, it's nothing, because you bring people in a country where they don't have place to stay, they don't have a job, all the promises they had in their head is not a reality. I think it's a waste of time, waste of resources. What he should have done is to bring more businesses instead of sending a majority of the plant and American company overseas. You shouldn't leave them here in America and open more businesses, give people money, minority businesswomen and men, more money to open business, especially in the Haitian community, to give them access to grant, to open
Andy.
serious business to hire our own people.
All right,
So,
Andy,
thank you.
Time's up. All right, Amania, I'm gonna go to you, guy. I'm gonna go to you now. And the concept, same thing for immigration. One of the fear, and people are sending me email and stuff. They're concerned about deportation. This is for our people. Remember, I want you guys to look at this in the lens of being factual, like what I say, but at the same time, be conscious this is for our people, because this is real people who sending me those messages. They are concerned about deportation. Na parle de moun ki vin la deja nan Biden ki concerné de déportation parce que yo pa konnen ki sa futur yo pralye. Na parle de moun qui entre là sous Chili qui a appliqué pour asile qui pas connaît qui ça futur pour allier, c'est ça qui concerne yo. Encore dans le domaine immigration, nous connait qui côté Trump campé. Mais problème qui gagne, m'pa ouais que Biden te bataille assez pour le prouver pour être pas là. Okay, so Amania, you got the mic, please. I'm gonna put you 3 minutes on the clock. Okay, unmute. Unmute yourself.
All right, guys. So what I've got for immigration is I get your point. I'm hearing you from your perspective and what you're laying out. But here's how I'm going to respond. So every nation needs to have their sovereignty, and America should not have that. America is a sovereign country, and it needs to be dealt with that way. The border is literally wide open, and we are seeing so many people pour in, and I get it. And I've posed the question before. I know Haiti, for example, has a lot of issues. It's got some problems. And I would always argue, well, how is it that we as Haitians can't come together to fix our own problems as opposed to fleeing the country? I know it has some issues, but the leadership should somehow come together and figure out, how do we clean up our own house? How do we fix our own house? Yes, you can get help from Kenya, you can get help from other places, but at the end of the day, friend, this is your country and you need to be able to figure it out. And so fleeing and biting, opening up the country, the states, and pouring people in is not really going to help. We're putting a Band-Aid on the problem. We're not fixing anything, because people are going to continue to birth. People are continue to grow. More babies are being born. More people are having babies. There's more and more and more and more people, but everybody can't come. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we need to try to fix where we are, what we have, what our country has, in order to make some sense of all of this. Because again, America can't take everybody. We need to start to fix some of the problems that we have in our nation, in our home country. Again, we can have people can come here and work and send back money back home and do all of these things. But again, our friend made a very good point there. Joe Biden said when he ran, I'm not going to build walls. I'm going to build, I'm going to break bridges for everybody to come. And so now people have come and they're standing on the corner. They ain't got no jobs. Taxpayers are affording them. These people are living in hotels on the taxpayer dime, and they're giving you food cards and all of these things. We're paying for that. We're paying for that. And so, and the young lady that was on the line, we have to be able to protect. This is about America. It's not about other countries. It's really about America and what's going to happen to America. If America can't take care of itself, it can't take care of other people. It can't take care of other people. It's got to take care of its own. We've got people living in the streets. I mean, I was just out there the other day. People are living on the streets here. Okay? We need to address these situations. We need to address this problem.
All right. Thank you, Amania. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, listen, guys, this is something I think you guys missed the mark somewhere. I don't believe America have an immigration issue. I think America have a foreign policy issue. The more we interject our opinions to other countries, the more we will continue to have the people who are oppressed to come to America. The fact is, we are not talking about the foreign policy that we use. Jean que les États-Unis mettaient bouche dans parole. Tout l'autre monde. C'est ça qui force immigrants ça, pas gen aucune autre option que pour y chercher une route pour chemin paradis. Problème c'est pas un problème immigration. Si nous résoudre problème foreign policy, n'a pas résoudre problème immigration. Parce que ouais moun qui vinn là yo pas choisi, yo pas remè ou ta remè vinn là vrai. Gen l'autre bagay yo te ka fait dans pays yo. Mais logon pays qui a dicté tout politicien yo, qui dit politicien yo, qui l'est pour yo camper, qui l'est pour yo chita, qui l'est pour yo pipi, qui l'est pour yo aller dans bathroom, qui l'est pour yo faire tout bagay. Et politicien ça ou connaît que yo corrupt, ou connaît que y a fait tout ça qui pas bon, y a tout bagay qui pas bon, ou pas jamais prendre responsabilité pour faire rien. Qu'ils sont républicains, qu'ils sont démocrates qui en power, the status quo remain the same. Okay? So because of that, c'est ça qui pousse au problème immigration qu'on gagne. Et c'est là que moi-même pensais que nous avons abordé le sujet foreign policy. Because problème les États-Unis, c'est pas un problème immigration lié. Problème les États-Unis, c'est parce qu'ils pas prennent responsabilité de parler de foreign policy. Yo connaît des bagages qui a fait, y a prend avantage de ça yo pour yo prend avantage de lui, mais en même temps, yo oublié que population ça qui a souffert en bas même moun ça qui a aidé corrompu qui a yo connaît pour fact moun ça corrompu, yo ketan connaît que population ça li pral quitter la Cali pour venir là. Et c'est ça qui situation Haïti. That's the problem. That's the problem. And the fact that, I mean, I want to, for me, that's my facts. I think no matter who's the president, it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat, if it's a Republican, okay? The issue, if you want to fix immigration, you have to fix the foreign policy, the way you deal with other countries. You have to hold those corrupt politicians accountable. You guys are talking about the poor people who came here trying to live, but you forget about those corrupt politicians who's receiving millions of dollars year after year after year after year, and they continue not taking care of the people. Some of those money are loan, some are grant, that they continue to do the same thing, but we don't hold them accountable. What you think the people are going to do? They're going to try to come over here. And I think that's where the problem is, okay? So I'm off my soapbox, so we got to move forward to the other points. Now, Void.
Oh, no.
You
want immigration. I didn't have my turn yet.
Oh, I did not give you a turn for immigration?
No, sir.
You sure? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you your 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, because let me respond. First, let me give kudos to CNN. They did a great debate. There was a lot of expectation for it. Kudos to Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. And I'm going to say kudos to Ralph who brought a point on Joe Biden. That was in 1994, Ralph, when he made that statement. If Haiti would have sank under the ocean, nobody will know. But to me, it's funny how Haitian remember that Trump called Haiti a shithole country, which is I offer $1,000 to any Haitian to prove to me what did Trump say this. It was an immigration meeting, DACA, in 2018, and there was 4 senators in the room: Dick Durbin, Lindsey Graham, Senator Perdue, Donald Trump, and the senator out of Kansas. And Dick Durbin, who was the minority whip, went to New York Times, Trump said Haiti and Africa is a shit country. It could never been proven. But this is funny. It was 2 months ago, Bill Clinton, who destroyed the rice in Haiti, the University of Michigan, said the Haitian rice have more arsenic than any other rice that they send to a part of the world. They sell to Japan, Mexico, and other countries. But it has double arsenic on it, but I don't see you guys Haitian raise hell. It's funny to me how Bill Clinton was in charge of the commission when the UN dumped feces causing 25 to 30,000 Haitian cholera. But I don't see you guys outrageous. It's funny to me how we have a nuclear garbage that was no other part of the world could have, but it was dumped in Haiti on my village, Go Naive.
48 seconds to get to the immigration.
No, you got to give me some time. You take some time and I listen to everybody. But it was funny how Marlon open his door of his house to let anybody in. Tell me any other country where you see a vast of immigrant coming towards the border like that. It's funny to me if Ralph have his family in the country waiting for paper and somebody come across the border, it's okay to go ahead, reward him citizenship without waiting. We all went through the process. Okay? So it's funny to me how Johnny say immigration is a world problem. 50,000 Chinese. I thought China had the best economy.
I didn't say it's a world problem.
Hold on, Johnny. Hold on.
I say foreign policy issue.
Foreign policy issue. So how 50,000 Chinese, that the Chinese economy is growing and they're doing well. how some of these Arab country that doing very well.
20 more extra seconds.
We have 10,000 Arab from certain Arab country by Christopher Wray, the FBI director, stating these people on the terror watch list, but it's okay. So how is okay veteran and American citizen sleeping on the street that this immigrant is having hotel to stay? Now Marlon say something, let me give him a response. Did he take the PPP loan? Did he take any stimulus when President Trump was offering it? Because he made the point that some Republican is bringing their family to the country. Yes. So yes, if a program is available, I'm going to take advantage of it. So did any Democrat take any money from the stimulus package when Trump was offering it?
All right.
Time check.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, guys, we got to move to the next point. Okay. One of the other big points they talk about, it's the, well, we're not going to talk about the climate crisis because none of them really respond to it. The child care, they didn't talk really about it. Trump didn't answer the question at all. The opioid crisis, he make it an issue for immigration. Biden barely talk about it. So we talk about the age. So let's talk about the, where were we at? Sorry. Let's talk about the abortion issue. I think Ralph mentioned it on the first part. Okay, so we're gonna be in the abortion issue. Plus gros discussion qui gagne actuellement qu'on y a aux États-Unis sont question de avortement. Et nous connaissons que nous-mêmes que nous voulons nous parler, nous connaissons et communauté haïtienne, non, son communauté qui est conservative. Même là qui n'a fait pause nous libéral, mais nous conservative. So, Ralph m'a plutôt décortiqué portion abortion pour moi. Et puis après ça, nous pourrons aller sur Amania et puis nous tourner sur Andy. Nous pourrons aller sur Void et puis nous tourner sur Andy.
All right. Merci. OK, merci Johnny. Mais avant, permettez-moi pendant 30 secondes faire un close-up sur immigration.
Go ahead.
Il y a un bagage que je voulais attirer l'attention sur les Haïtiens. Quand il s'agit de immigration, Haïtiens mettent dans tête que faut être du côté pour que n'importe janvier, comme si Haïti en total t'a dû admis dans le programme Biden. Et tout à l'heure, notre chum qui avait Cassamblier,
Amania.
Amania, dit ce qui est extrêmement important. Nous vivons avec l'esprit de dépendance. Yo doit faire pour nous. It's like, okay, tout pays doit nous pour ouvrir porte pour nous. Et c'est ça que fait nous pas besoin faire aucun effort. Là, on pas un sentiment, il y a des gens qui vont dire, oh, monsieur, c'est haïtien. Non. Tout haïtien te mettre vini, c'est pas question de tout haïtien. On est dans la réalité pays, on pays. Donc, on pays pas qu'à lever l'autre pays pour mettre la caille. Et dans l'aspect immigration, on l'autre bagage encore. Chaque monde n'a parti par eux, il faut comprendre ce président par eux, qui est administration par eux, qui est bon dans l'administration. Mais écoutez, quel démocrate, quel républicain, on a regardé, on fact-check fait rapide là avec Void, Void, pendant qu'on a parlé là, qui est un check pour moi. On regarde sous Donald Trump, quantité haïtien qui est déporté. On regarde sous Joe Biden, quantité haïtien qui est déporté. On fait un fact-check rapide et puis on comprend que yo insinué nous hypocrisie. Bref, pour question avortement, ça veut dire abortion. Moi, clair sous life is life. Okay? We don't even know where it is from. C'est reto ouais pour faire, pour t'agrandir, pour venir, pour pas même qu'on l'a fait. Et puis c'est grand doit grandir, ouais, moun, on comprend? Donc, moi, je pense que accepter ou bien voter un bagage qui dit que même après un bébé fait 5, 6, 7, 8 mois, monsieur dame, et moi, disons un bagage qui est extrêmement important parce que boy était dit, pas traité sous lui, mais m'a enchaîné avec pour finir. Guys, nous connaissons in every situation, the Black community is the target. I mean, when I say in every situation, in every negative situation, In the positive situation, we come last. But in the negative situations, we come first. So who tells you this is not something they're planning, but they're going around to come in the middle. But who is the target? The Black community. I'm not category on that, but I'm trying to be like, let me say faire prévention. Let's do, you know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Gon proverbe qui dit, prévoir vaut mieux que guérir, pas vrai? On va qui dit comme ça en français. Prévoir vaut mieux que guérir. Gon j'avais dit en anglais, pas. So, moi, je pense que faut que nous gardions bagay yo avec vraiment des yeux intelligents pour ne pas appuyer un bagay parce que nous aimons tel candidat et puis depuis devant, c'est nous-mêmes encore qui sommes victimes de propres choix que nous faisons. Même c'est comme ça.
Ok, thank you so much. Amania, mwa ale tout droit sou question ça et n'a regardé dans aspect abortion et tous les candidats yo et même Trump dit d'accord à une certaine limite et il parle de Roe versus Wade, c'est même question toujours, ok, sous domaine abortionnel. Ça qui pour nous mettre dans tête nous, il y a des gens qui sont obligés de faire abortion parce que par exemple il y a des gens qui font cardiaque sous yo, yo pas vle kembe petit là. OK, et sinon yo doit malade que un docteur dit yo, hey, pour aider sauver vie ou faut que nous retirer ti moun nan. Et nous ouais que voyer abortion ka by chaque état fait ça yo vle, jan yo vle. So sous non état qui plus conservatif, c'est un domaine où on doit pas capable avancer là-dedans. Sous non état qui plus libéral ou après yo bon plus leeway côté que en pile monde dit OK gon problème éthique là-dedans. So Amania m'a plutôt aborder point ça.
Okay, so abortion. So President Trump touched on this a little bit. And I'm just gonna give you guys some information. So right now, here in the great state of Florida, we have abortion on the ballot in November. And what that means is that there's going to be an extreme abortion where you can go and you can have your abortion 9 months. They can kill it right there after you've delivered it. They can kill it right there. So this is very, very dangerous thing. And President Trump mentioned about, I don't know if he mentioned it here, but these people are really looking to have people have abortions. The child is viable, 5 months, the child can live on its own. Why do you have to kill it at 6 months, 7 months, 9 months, 8 months? Why? You can have it and it can live on its own. The Black population is at 13%. We have not grown in I don't know how long, like decades, I guess. We have not grown. We've stayed stagnant, right? 13%. And it is a genocide, okay? It is, and my friend here, Ralph had it right. This is a genocide to Black people. And again, when we look at the border and everybody pouring in, again, we are killing the Black seed, but yet Black lives matter. Like, how does that work when we're killing the Black seed? We're killing the future, not just through abortion, but yet, we're killing each other through guns and everything else, but that's a different story. But it is genocide in the womb. And these Planned Parenthoods, they are in the Black community. That's where these are. And Maxwell Frost, who was out here getting petitions to put abortion on the ballot, the same amendment that I'm talking about right here. They were in the Black community day one after the election. They were on the ground getting petitions, and now they finally got it all. And because this amendment is the way they frame it is so deceptive, people signed on. They said, oh yeah, I'm all for that. But it's very deceptive. And so now we're looking at this amendment on the ballot in November. So again, these are detrimental things for the Black people, for the Black community. We're already at the bottom of the barrel. And yet every day, 50% of the Black deaths happen in the womb. Okay, that's where the genocide happens. And so we need to be looking at that. And we need to be educating our girls to learn how to shut your legs. And it comes, my body, my choice starts before you make that choice about abortion. It starts in the middle of the heat when you're in the middle of getting sexual, right? That's where we figure out, am I going to do this? How am I going to do this if I get pregnant? You know, my body, my choice. That's where it starts.
Okay.
So that's my soapbox.
Before we continue, I want to add something. The amendment you're talking about is Amendment 4, who's in the ballot for Florida. Yeah, it does not say to abort at 9 weeks. What it said no law. They just want to make an amendment where it said no law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability or when necessary to protect the patient health as determined by the patient health care provider. This amendment does not change the legislature constitutional authority to require notification to a parent or guardian before a minor has an abortion. So, basically, ça que State Florida a demandé faire, il a demandé pour que si par exemple il y a un problème avec santé patient, que docteur patient détermine que c'est à cause de fœtus là qui bail problème non, que pour autoriser eux pour eux même pour eux terminer prégnancy pour sauver vie maman. So me devais ajouter ça. L'autre ça me voulait ajouter, Raph te pose une question combien est monde qui ont déporté en bas Joe Biden à peu près, il estimé à peu près 20 000. Ouais, ça un petit Jean Holt c'est depuis 2022. Il estimé que 20 000 Haïtiens, OK, qui do Joe Biden déporté, OK, et qui moins que valeur qui moins que valeur Trump te déporté. I mean, no, pas moins, sorry, qui plus que valeur Trump te déporté. OK, so l'idée
okay.
Hey, hold on. I correct myself.
I didn't want to state it. I didn't want to say it. I want people to. I wanted you to check it out. And, and bring it out for the people.
Yes, so I did check it out. So it's about 20,000. Okay, and that's during the whole period right now. Okay, so
Johnny, can you do me a favor?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know how many did Obama get rid of?
Okay,
when you do your fact check.
Yeah, I will. Yes? I will check while we continue with the question. Yeah, so I will check as we continue the question. All right, so now let's go to we were going to Void and then to Andy. Void, we are still in that same subject on abortion. So go ahead.
Can any Democrat explain to me? They asked Joe Biden a simple question. Trump asked Joe Biden a simple question. Would you have any restriction on abortion? The man did not answer that. He said, we go to Roe versus Wade. The Democrat having policy, abortion on demand. What is abortion on demand? And Trump look at Joe Biden in the eyes. You could abort a baby up to 9 months. The governor of Virginia trying to push that policy, and also in California. Can any fair, understand human being? Ralph is a beautiful man. Johnny is a beautiful man. God give a life, a gift of life for us to cherish. You have one party going this election. They're about to spend $34 million in abortion ad to kill babies. Why not having a reduction in abortion? Why is this not allowed? A reduction in abortion. How could any fair person, and for them, God give them a life to cherish, and Joe Biden and other radical Democrat could stand, well, I want to take your life, but I have my life. How's that fair? And my advice to my Republican, when you stand up against this radical Democrat, ask them a very simple question. You standing here, advocate to kill, but you have your life. Okay? At the same time, you see the hypocrisy on my side of the aisle, on the Republican side, where they talk about guns. Yes, is it an epidemic? No, gun don't get up and say, I'm going to kill somebody today.
No.
It takes somebody to grab that gun to make that decision. But a baby don't have that choice because it's in the mother's wombs. So to me, I'm asking anyone that's out there listening to us in this panel, why the Democratic Party is not having any program to reduce the abortion rate? Is it what it's gonna come down into? Because I cherish life. If God didn't give Ralph this life, I wouldn't be in the panel with him today. And the wonderful gift God gave Ralph, Amania, and Johnny is the gift of life.
20 more seconds.
To cherish it. And it's a shame we live in this day in America where one party is so fixed to kill more human beings.
Okay, thank you. Ok, nous parlons sur Andy. Andy, est-ce que vous entendez? Andy?
Yes, m'tando, m'a conduit, m'fink descend highway là, même tando.
Okay, so on va aller sur ça. Andy, I need you, hold on, Andy. I want you to focus, focus dans partie que moi tout le monde focus dans partie pour abortion côté que mesdames yo c'est est-ce que c'est droit pour choisir pour yo aborter sinon faut pas aborter, mais nous pas parler des parties tout qui ça nous mettait en camp prévention et pour aider jeunes moun ça yo, pour aider moun ça tout et pour yo même pour yo pas tomber dans situation côté yo enceinte. Par contre si Amania et me c'est Amania qui t'a mentionné ça, même quoi que le plus important que juste faire mes jambes que gen contraceptive que nous ka aider mesdames yo joindre que gen éducation nous ka fait pour messieurs pour mettre capote pour protéger parce que m'pa vle ça arrêter seulement comme si c'est pour mesdames yo mais garçons yo toujours un rôle dans ça tout. OK? All right. Allez Andy.
All right. So that's a great question and thank you for that question and for the classification that you just brought. Let me say God didn't create us as a robot. He gave us opportunity to think and to make choice. Okay, some of the time there are choices that we make that not God's will. So there are choices that we make that is gonna affect us physically or is gonna affect us somehow, some way. And where I don't think it's a good idea for government to choose what a woman should do with her body, whether to keep a child or to put a child in this beautiful planet that we are living. Not every woman, are fit to raise a child or to give birth to a child. So this is my opinion. However, I disagree with a woman that have a baby between 6 to 9 months and you want to abort that baby. That's basically killing baby right inside of your womb, which is, I think that's a crime. However, what the government should do instead of come with policy and come with amendment or to force people not to do abortion or to tell people, hey, it's your right, you can do abortion. What about come with a measure that to education, we can educate people. Okay, if you're in this age, you feel like you want to have sex. Well, this is what you need to do. This is the precautions that you have to take. Or a lot of people say, hey, I don't want to use condom. But what about planning? I don't know how they say that in English, but there's planning. Est-ce que pas qu'à faire planning? There is another thing. Même garçon yo tout ka faire. Garçon yo ka foncer des bagages tout pour pas faire petit. N'importe là où veut faire petit, yo ka retourner encore pour yo faire. So je pense que l'état plus bon pour que yo promoter ça yo ou bien venir avec un paquet Jeff là parce que qu'on est à la on garçon pour dire pour couper pas changer Christian ba ça relé méthode ça relé au monde qui connaît sous panel là wa dit ça so ou voulez pour pas faire petit ou qu'à le faire moi penser que yo t'a venir avec on paquet de healthcare là qui dit son garçon décide pour pas faire petit, il besoin al couper, m'pa connaît ça ou faire, excusez-moi.
Vasectomie.
OK, placectomie, yo
Vasectomie.
capable faire vasectomie, yo capable couvrir pour lui dans healthcare, dans healthcare plan. Si on fille qu'on y a la décider pour faire plan ni pas faire petit, yo ka couvrir pour lui dans healthcare plan dans assurance, côté que pas obligé à dépenser l'argent dans poche pour le faire ça. Vous comprenez parce que c'est ça on t'a venu avec comme solution au lieu que puis à passer loi pour femme pas pour monde pas faire abortion tel à tel de telle période à telle période ou bien will ka fait. C'est moi c'est point moins ça. OK? Tout fille créé avec will yo, si on décide de puis dire ajouter petit yo, pas quoi ça supposé gon loi pour dire pas ajouter petit là.
Thank you so much.
That's my opinion.
Did Andy know that those family clinics available for free? Does he know that?
You hear that question?
No. Andy, did you know not majority America, family clinic, contraceptive, abortion, family clinic are free?
Well, on connaît ça, même pas.
Okay, but
ça, mais pour que sa clinique ça tout pas qu'à faire pour que yo ba moun yo free planning. Garçon tant que femme.
Garçon tant que femme?
Yes.
Oui, garçon yo ba yo fait yo pas faire petit. C'est pas vrai? Yo pas 47 femmes. Pour que ça yo pas mettre ça tout dans clinique yo.
There is planning for male.
Now, this is the thing too, guys. I think
I was not aware of that. Thank you for.
Oh, you didn't know where? Oh, you were not aware.
I was not aware.
There is something too we have to take to consideration too. Now, the responsibility, we can't solely put the responsibility on the woman, because after this child is done or born, the guy also have a responsibility. So, ça veut dire pour prendre soin, le plus souvent, mesdames, il y a pensé, ok, je vais pas prendre soin de Timoun, ça va pas faire ceci, va faire cela. Mais c'est responsabilité garçon yo tout pour yo prendre soin de Timoun yo. Ok? So, nous pas qu'à mettre responsabilité à seulement sous deux mesdames yo. Ok? Parce que c'est des moun, ils prennent des moun, ok, pour enceinte. So, yes, on comprend que je dis c'est choix mesdames yo parce que c'est eux même qui portent bébé a. Mais si nous advocate, ok, pour Timoun ça fait, mais faut que nous advocate tout pour ni garçon ni fille prendre responsabilité pour élever Timoun. Okay? So that's important. All right. So guys, we here for almost 3 hours.
Johnny, let me say something.
Johnny, we got to move up to the next point, boy.
No,
we're here for 3 hours.
I'm gonna be real quick.
You got 10 seconds. 10.
Yeah, something that you said earlier. The abortion rate for rape is only 1%. And that's what controlled the majority. 1% of incest and rape.
So that make it okay?
You're telling me
so that make it okay for a woman to accept to have the baby from somebody who raped them?
1%, that 1% on the black community, they're killing 374 babies annually.
Listen, I don't have the facts in front of me, but 1%. It has been debunked. It's not only the black community who have abortion. Don't put everything on the black community.
Look at the
statistics.
It's
not only the
black
community.
Population is only 14%, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that's because it's education. So, we only 40 on the U.S. population. I'm not talking worldwide. Okay, we're only 14% of the population, but our numbers. When you look at the abortion numbers, the black population is committing more abortion than any other race.
If you allow me, it's just like incarcerations. You have the white community is 87%, the black community is 13% some. If you go to the prisons, you have 87% black and 13% black and Latino. I think something like that. But it's like I understand your point, Boyd. I get your point.
No, I'm sending Johnny the statistics so he could look at it himself because they're always bringing this argument. If we only 11,
when you send me the statistic, you can send me a statistic from a conservative website.
No,
It's
not
gonna
a
be
conservative.
biased. I don't want to be biased.
It's from the Planned Parenthood. It's from your own website.
It's not
The one
my
that's
website.
killing all them babies.
Okay.
Okay, it's not from the Republican or the conservative. It's from Planned Parenthood. 11%.
All right,
Black
so we got to move forward.
11% of the population.
We got to move forward. All right, so guys, we've been here for
Johnny,
about 3
I know
hours.
you've been on. Can I just interject something just really quickly?
You never interject, so I definitely will want to hear for 20 seconds.
So I live about 3 minutes away from an abortion place, a kill center. Next door to it is a life center, a pregnancy center. They're on the same property, life and death right there. And I walk by it every single morning. And right down the road is a church. You know who has failed the people? It's the church that has failed the people, because if the church did what it was supposed to do, people would not be out here murdering babies the way they are. It's a moral thing that's happening to the people. It's our morals that's been decrepit. And this is why we're seeing what we're seeing like this. So that's it for me.
All right, to close this portion, they during the debate, I'm pulling some of the facts. I can't pull it on the screen, but anyway, so the facts check a lot of stuff. So I was looking to see the part for abortion, because we were on the subject for a minute. The debate, the part where Trump say Democrat will take life of a child in 8 months, 9 months, is been debunked. That's not true, because in the United States,
that's a lie. Hold on. Let me put the bill for you out of Virginia. That's a lie.
I'm just giving you the fact check.
A liberal fact check. Let me pull
let
out
me
the
finish.
bill for you out of Virginia.
Void, you got to listen.
The bill for you and send it into you.
Okay, listen. Okay, willfully terminate a newborn's life. Okay, and infanticide. Okay, thank you so much. Infanticide and is illegal in every U.S. state. You can't do that. In every U.S. state, it's illegal. Okay, so they say that claim is false. Okay, that claim where you say you can terminate an abortion at 8 months, 9 months, it's an illegal act. If you do that, you get caught. And every U.S. state, it's an illegal act. Okay.
Trump never said it was legal. What he's saying, they got bills on state representatives that pushing those bills being proposed, like Virginia, New York, California. That's what they say to you. So those fact checks are wrong. They have those bills, and I'm going to send you those bills. That's what counts. These bills being proposed.
Okay, Void, can I with the fast check? You're like in Fox News right now. Okay, so yeah, here we go. Situation resulting in fetal death in the third trimester are rare and typically involve fetal abnormalities or life-threatening medical emergency affecting the pregnant woman. So the majority of Democrats support abortion access to fetal viability when the fetus is able to survive outside the womb, typically around 24 weeks. So if you guys talking about up to 24 weeks, I can see that's the part that is concerning. But they say that they will support up to 24 weeks if there's an abnormality. Okay, so that's the check on that. So you guys can go check those fast check. I just wanted to bring it. So now I'm going to give everybody a chance to do your conclusion based on the debate so we can move forward. Let's start with Andy, and then we'll swing back to Ralph and swing back to Amania, and then back to you, Void. All right, so let's keep it at 3 minutes, please, and no 20 seconds because we're running out of time. All right, Andy, go ahead.
Can we pass by somebody else?
What mal passe? M'attends bien. Go ahead, say it again. Andy? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna get somebody else. I'm gonna get somebody else because it looked like you're driving somewhere wrong. Okay, pay attention, please. Please be careful. All right, Amania, go ahead.
My last thoughts on and everything. So I think President Trump did a great job. He came out strong. He walked out like a powerhouse. I think Biden wobbled a little, but he walked out like a powerhouse, and he executed on a lot of the things, and he called Biden out, and he laid out a lot of great points. And you know, he said a lot of things. And one of the things that really stayed with me is, you know, what we're seeing overseas, foreign policy when it comes to these wars, and us constantly pouring money into these wars, and it makes no sense. And he said it. Biden has 2 wars under him, 2 wars. And now we're looking at World War III. And if Trump doesn't get in, we might as well get into World War III, because it's just not going to be good. And we're going to have to send our young boys and girls out there to fight other people's wars and get killed for it. So so those were some points that he made. What else? The migrant crisis, and we've already overkilled that. And I won't even bother with January 6th, because that was just a fail. But anyway, Trump did some really good points, and I'm happy to see how this went. I'm excited for the next debate, and hopefully the American people will really start to open their eyes to see exactly what it is. And we can't have another 4 years of Biden. I don't even think Biden can have another 4 years of Biden. And so we just need to move on. And President Trump made a really, really good point of stating that this is like, it's a dog and pony show what we're doing right here. It's literally wasting time is what we were doing tonight on this whole debate thing. It's wasting time. Biden needs to be put somewhere, because it's obvious he's not running the country, and this is just a bizarre situation, and we just need to move on from it. And I just hope that we won't have any more shenanigans when it comes to this election. We won't have a new virus. We won't have a new COVID. We won't have a new this for them to yet again take another election from us. Because if I feel like if that happens, this country is going to go down in flames. So that's my soapbox. And I thank you guys for the conversation, and I'll leave it there.
All right. Thank you so much. Andy, welcome back. Go ahead. The last word.
All right. Thank you. So, like I said earlier, when I start with you guys, this debate was on point. I know I can say Donald Trump was on fire tonight. A lot of great things about when they asked him questions regarding the immigrations. I like his thought process, the way that he answered the questions. So Joe Biden was pouring in a lot of immigrants into the country, and that's really crushed our economy. And it didn't do anything good for the immigrants. And as a matter of fact, he destroyed those immigrants by letting them come, leave their country, their native language, their culture, to come here to America for a promise they will. It's hard for them to see. I don't say they're not going to see it, but it's going to take them years to see that promise. It's going to take them years to see that the paradise land that they thought that they're going to come onto. So, and right now, with the jobs, a lot of Black people is out of jobs, and Latino out of jobs because of those immigrants coming and getting their jobs. And he's right about that. So we're talking about the war. We say if he was president, the war would never happen. Yes, I agree, because under Biden leadership, I don't think no country respect Joe Biden as a president, respect his leadership. I am not saying they're not afraid, they don't respect Americans, but they don't respect the leader of Americans. They know our leader is very weak. And that's why you see a lot of things happening around the world, because if we are the leader of the world and our leader is incapable to make tough decisions or to lead, to make sure people respect him, so there's nothing he's going to see for people to respect. The people are going to do whatever they want to do. This is also my opinion to conclude. I think if Donald Trump was president 2-3 years ago, when Haiti President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated, I don't think President Jovenel Moïse will be assassinated. This is my opinion. And later on throughout the year, I might talk a little bit more about it. But tonight, this is where I'm going to end. To say, guys, thank you so much for having me on the panel.
Thank you, Andy. All right, now we're going to you, Ralph. Last
Well,
word.
congratulations to you all, guys, and I appreciated all your statements, opinions, and considerations when it comes to the debates. If we look at both sides of the debates, strengths, weaknesses, and strengths, I think both candidates have to work, and must strive to do better in the next debates. I don't know how many they have left.
They got one more.
But if we can say clearly, we can see clearly that Trump is more. It could be a better choice. He could be a better choice. We wait for the future because we never know what can happen. He is the better choice to run this country after Joe Biden. Too many wars on Biden's administration. Too many wars. I don't remember a single war under Donald Trump during the 4 year term that he made that he had. I don't remember one single war. And before he came to power, everybody was going around the world saying, "Man, we're heading straight to World War III with this man. He speaks too loud. His racist is this, is that." I mean, they did everything. Like they used coronavirus to snatch the elections away from him. If you looked at the situation pertaining to coronavirus, when you looked under the TV screens of CNN and all those TV channels, the numbers were so high when he was in power at the end of the election. But as soon as Joe Biden, got elected, I don't want to, but no, the numbers just dropped. It's like he had, they're going to baguette magic. I mean, they just dropped the numbers. I mean, when it comes to those situations, guys, you got to be very smart. Got to be very smart because people are trying to manipulate you, the media, I don't know, man. But I think Donald Trump should be the one to run the country, and he's gonna run it. Believe me, guys, he's gonna run it. He's gonna be the one. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hey guys, listen, before I go to your voice, I put a poll on the YouTube side. So the question is, who do you think won the debate? I put Biden and I put Trump. So if you see the poll, please vote so I can tell the panel after we finish and do my own conclusion, so I can tell the panel what was your opinion, so they know if your opinion match their opinion. Okay, so if swap gade kounya wap wè gon kote pou al voter là entre deux moun sa, entre Biden avec Trump, qui est qui gagne débat soya, s'il vous plaît, votez dans pon là. All right, Void, the last word.
Johnny, thank you. Ralph, thank you. Amania, thank you. Andy, thank you. Marlon, thank you for stopping by on our podcast. Don't forget to check our regular podcast on Saturday at 6:30 to whenever we finish, actually about 9:30. So we have our regular podcast on Uwe Barriere and the Void Nicholas show. Ralph, it was hopefully you participate with us on more debate. I love an independent point of view. You really a very gentleman to debate with some articulate and who understand things. You don't see things on a Democratic or Republican point of view. You said it like it is. Kudos to you, my friend, and really love to have you on that panel, and you, Andy. But let me say something, because I'm going to a different site and reading things and text messages that come up to me. The conservative, they're really not happy with the debate on Trump. You say he did well, but they're not extremely happy with it. They don't even want him to have another debate, but they okay with his performance. And reason why he didn't pivot to a lot of key points, like the economic failure of Joe Biden that I mentioned earlier. Joe Biden had 3 rescue package. He didn't even mention it. Trump didn't target him on that. So that's one point that was conservative is not happy with him. And also the point on immigration, conservatives not really happy with it. Trump trying his best, but they say Trump should have been harder on immigration on that point. in the economy. They think he did well in the economy. So Democrat on the other side, because I'm checking both, they're not happy at all with Joe Biden's performance.
Really?
No, they're not happy at all. So a lot of their website, the think tank website, says time to have a replacement.
Boy.
So
here comes Michelle.
It was obvious.
So they're not happy at all. Trump did not mention the transgender issue at all. That didn't come up. Women should be in a women's sport. Transgender should not be in a female sport. Trump failed to mention that. So some of the website they pick on that. And also Trump should have been harder. $2 billion we're spending in Ukraine, and America's a sufferer. So they felt like Trump did not pivot that too much on that point. So after that, one thing I gotta say on the abortion, they think Trump did well on the abortion issue.
Time's up, boy. Time's up. We got
no, we'll give some time. We're closing in. So on the economy, Trump did well because 65% of the people want Trump economic back. 65, and that's a poll, and that's CNN did their poll. 65%. Joe Biden is at 35%.
Okay, we can give let's give the reference. The audience can check because I have to end the live.
Okay, well those are on the CNN website. Those are political facts, so they could go on and check it.
So
those are the facts.
But bring it. Yes. So I'll put the link on the screen for you.
Yeah, and I did send you some of the poll factor too earlier on the flyer I sent you. Okay. Another point I got to make: Trump leading the nationwide by 5 points.
Boy, I got to move.
So
I got to do the conclusion. I give everybody 3 minutes. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
So I got to move on. Okay.
So he's leading 5 points. So I don't think he's gonna lose anything tonight. I think the Democrat have to do some
digging,
some soul searching.
Okay. All right.
And some of this damage Joe Biden.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Democrat have to
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Listen. Okay, let's go straight to the poll. We did the poll, and right now I'm gonna end the poll. So if you didn't have the chance to vote, right now as it stands, 80% of the people under the live say Trump won the debate. 20% say Biden won the debate. So that's the end of the poll. And you can go to, even though all the 20 people did not vote, because voting election, that's how it is. Et pas tout le monde qui a voté. C'est 5 personnes seulement voté. Mais dans 5 personnes qui voté, 80% dit que Trump gagne et 20% dit que Biden perdu. Okay, so now guys, I want to say thank you. If you're under the live, please give me a favor, like the channel.
Well, CNN
like the channel, subscribe to the channel.
CNN put out their own poll.
Okay, so
33%, Trump 67%.
Okay,
CNN pull out their own poll.
All right, thank you. So go ahead and like the channel, subscribe to the channel, go to CNN, and that was the people who was holding the debate. Okay, also CNN, wap gade résultat, wap ka jwen poll la, wap ka jwen fact check yo, wap jwen tout la. Now, dernier avant de quitter m'a dit audience, merci en pile parce que patient ensemble avec nous, merci en pile. Sous mes gens de contenu ça yo, partagez avec l'autre monde, invitez l'autre monde venir sur plateforme nan, c'est comme ça nous même nous ka grandi. M'a dit merci spécial avec Ralph qui sorti sur live Tambour Vérité a, en pile non nous connait qui ça qui live Tambour Vérité a, it's a YouTube channel, so please go subscribe to the channel. Okay, I appreciate the work he's doing and let's support each other. Void, the Void Political Podcast, thank you for being here. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for your patience. I fight with him all the time, but hey, don't worry, that's still my brother. All right. So Andy, thank you, Andy, for taking the time, even though you were driving, you still pull up and you come and sit down and talk to him. Let me put Void on mute. I think that's Void. All right. And we also had Marlon, who was driving in a cab. Hopefully Marlon is okay because he was in Uber trying to get back to us. So I just saw him pop up. I couldn't grab it. So Marlon, thank you for being here. And Amania, thank you so much. Amania channel is the Conservative Poet. Okay, it's a YouTube channel. So guys, go ahead and like this channel. Li important, je ne fais
Share the link with me, please, John.
Okay, I'll send you the link. Okay, so it's called the Conservative poet. So guys, li important pour nous faire jan de bagay sa dans communauté nous parce que gon ti noir yo nan nous même qui ouais bagay yo jan ba yo doué qui respecte l'un ak l'autre qui la juste pour fax. Ou après pendant n'a parler là pas gen yon nan nous qui relè l'autre volé, pas gen yon nan nous qui relè l'autre gang, pas gen l'autre nan nous qui salbade l'un ak l'autre. We just sit down and have a debate and listen to the debate and come with facts, supporting our arguments, supporting our actions, and sometimes it could be heated, but you can see that we are trying the best, but there's no enemy at the end of the day. So, genre de programme ça important dans la communauté. Pour programme ça continuer, c'est nous-mêmes pour qui supporter yo, c'est nous-mêmes pour qui pousser pour yo, c'est nous-mêmes pour qui demander yo. Et ça que m'apprécier les nouvelles là, nouvelles ba nous love là, moi apprécier ça. Thank you so much. The next debate, I don't know if they're gonna have another debate. If they have another debate, that means tout le monde qui sur plateforme nan encore si yo pas occupé pour venir pour l'autre debate là pour nous capable et chita décortiquer, j'en sont décortiquer. Gen en pile point nous pas toucher, so c'est ou même pour qui aller pour regarder point ça yo, al checker point ça. Chaque monde qui là, yo chaque gon channel YouTube, me garantis sous channel YouTube yo pral parler de tout point ça yo. So pas perdre rien, al subscribe sur ma channel YouTube moun ça yo qui sont panel là parce que ou pas joindre en pile bon bête. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Good night everybody. I cannot stay for any more longer. We did 3 hours and 30 minutes. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Good night.